Why do you think Bitcoin specifically has been, rallying so hard? So it's about 2x up off of the bottom from the kind of FTX fallout, et cetera. This year, it's up somewhere in the 80% range to start the year. Is that debt limit crisis and people looking for something that's an alternative to, potential US default? Is that an inflation thing? Is that a trying to front run the Fed thing? Like, why are investors driving?
I don't think it's a default thing. I think that, first of all, the only reason that it was down, I think, as much was, on the FTX fraud. It got hit, and then there were concerns about Genesis and that are unfounded. So I think the market got sold out, and this is one of the things I told my investors, was that in Q4 on the announcement of that fraud, Ethereum couldn't make a new low in price, and Bitcoin popped down and then popped right back up. I put my trading hat on from years ago just for a second. It's what's called a bullish divergence, and tells you that the market is sold out. And so we've had a bear phase for all of 22 basically. And we had the most negative news that we could possibly think of, which is someone like SBF, who was considered, the wonder kid in the space, go from 20 billion to a fraud in the matter of, a few weeks. And so I think that piece of negative news, we are not going to see anything more negative than that. And the fact that the markets could hold in after that just told you it was sold out. And so you had a bunch of different things happen since that moment. You had the ETH upgrade. Also, ETH is also up it's probably up even more than 80%. I don't know. I guess at the low it was around, it's probably up. They're up about the same. But look, the reality is the Fed tightening was overdone, and you've had 10 years drop 100 basis points. So that's positive for liquidity. The banking crisis, it's very clear. And I think someone on Twitter said, the money in your bank, it's not your money, right? Like, you think it's your money, but not only is it not there, it's not even yours. And I just think anyone under 35 who's just, more comfortable in moving around in the digital space, they don't really think of banks as part of their life. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. My daughter's 18 years old. She's at NYU, and she was out there renting her first apartment. And, it's a bit of a complicated thing to rent your apartment in New York, et cetera. And they said to her, she needs to get a bank certified check for her first month of rent. And she said something very funny. She says, I don't think she's been to a bank maybe ever, maybe in Greenwich where we are, maybe once. But she said something very funny. She says, Daddy, I don't notice that there are any banks in New York City. And I said, what do you mean? There's one right across the way from where you do yoga. And so it's a silly point in a way, but people who are younger, they don't really think of banks as part of their lives. They Venmo, they have, they may use the online banking platform, but they don't actually go to banks. It's not, when we were kids, at least certainly me, you had your passbook, your savings account, you went to your bank, you got it stamped or whatever it is. So I think the move to Bitcoin is very natural. And I do think there is this generational aspect to it, where as time goes by and the younger generation starts to build more wealth, I think they naturally will go to alternative places. And for them, it's completely natural. It's, there are 2 billion video game people out there, people who are gamers. That's a huge number. Those people live, online or in the metaverse or however you want to describe it. So